Hey, hello there. It's Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Radcliffe.
There she is. We love having Kristin Weber on the show and got so much to talk about. Want to catch up with her on the book that she released back in February, Adulting for Jesus. Kristin, how are you?
I'm doing really well. Thank you. How are you guys?
We are well, and we were talking before we went on the air, and you were telling us about a new job that you started.
Yeah.
And how exciting it is. Do tell what you're doing now.
It is. I am doing part-time youth leadership at a local church in the Atlanta area. And I have realized that aside from occasionally a funny thing coming out of my mouth here and there, I have zero other skills that can be applied to other jobs. So like I am having to part of the job is organizing events, and I've shown up and told jokes at events, but I've never organized them. So I'm like, how much food do kids eat? I'm like, it's
a lot. Yeah.
You know,
pizza for 100 people, that'll be enough, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I really feel for you because I just had a thought. I mean, I started out as a youth pastor and then moved up the line, and that's why I need counseling even still today.
Right. Yeah.
But back then they didn't have, I mean, I was youth pastor in the late 80s, early 90s, so they didn't have devices, technology.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, they would ignore you the old-fashioned way. But
right.
This way, they're probably always looking on their screen, right?
They are.
Yeah. And we're going to actually, attempt to do an experiment. Although I've learned that everything I'm like, we're going to do this and it's going to go this certain way, never goes that way.
No.
I am terrible at games too, which is like an important part. You would think that the stand-up comedy part of me would make me good at that. Yeah. But my brain doesn't think through outcomes of like rules and stuff. And so they're really good at getting around the rules, and then it's just chaos.
Yep. Welcome to youth ministry.
I need to figure out, we're going to do an experiment tomorrow with our phones because just so that to kind of make them aware of how many distractions there are, and just even that like hour and a half time period, what their minds are facing. So we'll see how it goes. It'll probably go nothing like I have it planned in my head, because it never does. But
I mean, they formed habits to where if there's just a split second where they're free, they're automatically going to their phone and checking Snapchat or Instagram or whatever.
Because ideally I would like to take up the phones, but now it's they feel it's almost like you're violating a personal right to remove their phone from them.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. I'm like, okay, where's the line? Where does my authority and their kind of freedom for this little period of time intersect? So
honestly, I think you would have a mutiny actually if that happened. They would rush the stage and we'd never hear from you again.
Yeah, probably. I'd have my phone out filming that, and then maybe I could do a viral
there you go.
And then I'd never have to work again.
Yes, you'd end up on the news, and we'd have a whole, it'd be something against comedians, and it'd be great.
Yeah.
Now, I just thought of something also. Now, have you spoken to them publicly yet? Have you shared with them the stabbing story? Because I think that they would probably pay attention to that in some form or fashion.
They give you street cred.
Yeah, right. My street cred. And by the way, slight tangent, but since you guys are here and you've followed my jujitsu journey, which started after I got held at knife point.
Yeah.
I choked a guy out to unconsciousness yesterday by accident.
Way to go. That's awesome. That's terrible.
Between your reactions, Rick's like, no, that's terrible. And Dan's like, yeah. I just didn't. So I was like, we'll just add that to the street cred, like performing in prisons, almost caused a prison riot once while performing in a prison, held at knife point, choked someone out.
That's what you can tell the kids. Hey, I will choke you out like I did this guy the other day.
Yeah, so I'm trying really hard to work that into it's just we're doing James and like choking somebody out doesn't really naturally flow.
Sure it does.
I'm like, what's the spiritual metaphor I can manipulate out of this so I can look cool?
Now, I know we do want to talk about the book and your tour and stuff, but you just sparked something else in me. All right. So after you choke a guy to unconsciousness, how do you say I'm sorry, or do you say I'm sorry? Do you send them flowers, a card? What's the protocol for saying, sorry, buddy?
I was just like, you should have tapped.
It's his fault.
But I felt really bad because I mean, that's not the intention, but sometimes the guys will try to fight the choke. So you just don't know. And then one of the other people in the class was the one who noticed it and was like, you gotta like, stop, he's out. And I was like, oh, I thought he was fighting the choke still. But yeah, he woke up and I was just like, they're there, buddy. It was the most, I was like, I'm so sorry.
They're there, buddy.
They're there, buddy. You should have tapped, old champ.
Honestly, I think this is a God thing because you could use this speaking to the youth, and I think they would see that that kind of put the fear of God in them.
I would hope so. Yeah. Just don't. What a great dating profile. Yeah.
Thank you, Robin. Yes.
You know what? You got to be careful who you say that to because it could attract the totally wrong kind of person.
Yeah, well, very
You don't
true.
want someone who likes that.
Yeah.
Well, may I say this? I'm going to step out a bit, but I think that's probably how Robin got her friend Mark. So there you go. It's worked for her.
He does seem a little scared of her. So,
Yeah. They should be, the person you date should be a little terrified of you. Just a little.
Yeah.
I think she's going to be on the show later on in the week, so we'll have to ask her.
Ask her.
If that's indeed how she did get Mark.
Oh wait, if she's going to be on later in the week, I got to get my Journey and Rush ready because she loves those two bands. So
you just spoke over Kristin's head. She has no idea what that is.
If you ever want to get on Robin's good side, play Journey or Rush.
Either
of those two groups. Yes. Yeah, I'll Google them.
Kristin Weber.
If it wasn't on Salty or Gerbert, I probably didn't hear it.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay.
Kristin Weber, comedian, writer, speaker. Her book came out in February, Adulting for Jesus. I don't know why I didn't read the rest of this when we talked about this before. Did I not catch it? A book about purpose, trust in God, and obviously burritos. Did I miss that, or did I say anything about that last time?
I do not remember, Dan.
I think we talked about the burritos.
Did we?
I do remember that, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you said the whole thing, and it's an audio. It's got an audio version now. That's new since I was last on. I got to go to San Diego and sit in this like little soundproof pod for 10 hours, however long it took, and listen to the sound of my own voice and my breathing and record it. And then I did my own like interchapter transitional accordion music, which to my knowledge, I'm the only
wow.
market.
Was it one of those when you hear this sound, turn the page things? Or?
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I actually said that, like I said, because you're being deprived of page turns, which is one of the most rewarding aspects of reading. It's just, there's that feeling of like, I've accomplished something. I said, I'm going to provide you with interchapter accordion music. And so for copyright, I can't use any songs that are already out there. So I just came up with my own.
That's awesome.
Them. Yeah, it was fun.
You know what would be a good idea? You just gave me an idea. Anytime that Dan and I want to take an intermission while we're live here, we can have a little accordion intermission there.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Robin has put up, let's see.
Oh, thanks.
Where your book
the Amazon link, yes.
I need to give you like a manager kickback or something. Yes. You're doing way better job at promoting my book than I am.
He's on top of it.
Hey, I think that's awesome you did that you've recorded this thing so it's out and folks can listen to it. So response so far, here we are in what? April, end of April. Mm-hmm. It's been February. What's the new math? How many months is that? 2 or 3 months?
February.
April. Yeah. What's been going on? What are folks saying?
So the feedback has been surprisingly good. I don't know why I was bracing for like just negativity. I think I just assume that things are going to not go well. I don't know if it's a protective measure or cynicism. When I'm in therapy after my youth position job, I'll ask them that while I'm there.
Yeah.
But I've been pleasantly surprised at the response. And then I have a little email at the end. So if you make it to the end of the book, there's an email there, and some people have emailed me through there. And just the range, I was surprised by the range of people who have read it and enjoyed it. There's been a theme of like, I got this for someone else and started reading it and then just finished it and was like, oh, this applied to me too, which is cool. And then younger college and young 20s have read it. And so I've been pleasantly surprised at just how people have responded to it, and just the kind response and the response of like, oh, we didn't know who you were, and we didn't know what this book was because you're a nobody, which you're like, thanks. Yeah. But they enjoyed it and were able to resonate with some of the themes in it. So,
well, I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but that the title alone would get me. A book about purpose, trusting God, and obviously burritos.
Oh yeah,
going in the obviously burritos, I'd be like, well, yeah, I want to read that.
Right,
I mean, that's funny. I like that. So,
yeah,
way to go.
Yeah, and they did a great job with the cover design and everything. I think they captured the essence of the book very well on the cover. So. Yeah.
Now, when you went back to record this, obviously, well, I assume, and I hate to assume, so you've got the book in front of you, and you're reading chapter by chapter, page by page. Did you feel like that at times you just wanted to interject just extra stuff in there, or is that allowed? I'm not sure. I've never done anything like that.
Yes. So it was a huge learning experience for me because I'd never done anything. I've listened to a lot of audiobooks, which I guess now can count as like research since I've done one. Yeah. But you can actually do that. So there were some things that we cut that just didn't work well when you read it. And then other things that I would just kind of I'd kind of gone through the book before and just been like, okay, this might be phrased slightly different since I'm reading it. And so there are things that are a little bit different in the book that I added, or some things I took out and just replaced with something that worked better. Listen, that's about how I read on the second day of reading. And it was like, adulting for Jesus. Like chapter 12. Contentment.
Love it.
Because it takes so much more focus than you think. You're like, I know how to read and talk out loud. I do that all the time. And you're like, no.
Yeah. For the length of a Dr. Seuss book, but not for an entire like real book. Yeah.
For sure. And then the microphone picks up everything. So at one point, there's a producer or producer director who kind of sits on the other end of the sound booth and monitors for noise. And if they hear you pause weird or breathing too much, like you have to even calculate your breathing, which they edit out most of the breathing. Some is in there, I think. But my stomach growled. And so she paused and she was like, would you like to take that one more time or get a snack before continuing? Like just my stomach growling on the book over the reading.
I think that goes well with the and burritos part of it. So
it does. Yeah, they should have listened to me eat a burrito.
We're talking with Kristin Weber, KristinWeberOnline.com. Great place to go to about her book called Adulting for Jesus, a book about purpose, trusting God, and obviously burritos. Good on you for recording your own, because I get a little irritated when people don't record their own books. When I listen to them, I'm like, hey, how come you couldn't read this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I understand. Some people I think are just not comfortable speaking out loud, reading out loud. And I understand, but I enjoy listening to books read by the author too, because they understand the meaning behind it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So they can capture that with the inflection and tone and everything. So.
Yeah. Well, especially when you're a comedian, because you get that the delivery that you're supposed to have it with. So I love it.
Yeah. It was a cool experience. I'm glad I got to do it.
Well, we're glad that you did that. Now let's talk about traveling. Things have we've talked to so many, whether they're comedians, musicians, whoever. Usually, at least before 2020, traveled quite a bit. It's kind of breaking open for a number of them. Some still not so much. But notice you're going to some big places here, and I was going to call it Eau Claire, but you said it was French and called Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
Yes, Eau Claire.
This is where the eclair was invented, I'm sure.
Yeah.
This is a part of the Aspire. No. Okay. No. This is a part of the Aspire Spring Tour. So let's talk about that. Are you excited about that, and what's going to happen?
I am excited about it. I'm very excited to get back on the road and to tell jokes in front of live humans and not on Zoom, where they can be simultaneously walking on a treadmill and watching me do comedy. And I mean, maybe they'll bring one. I don't know. So, and that leads into, I don't know what to expect, because I think there's still some masks and social distancing at some, and that makes comedy a little bit more challenging. You just don't hear the response as much. Yeah. I don't know if I remember how to pack a suitcase. I've started to, and I'm like, what do you bring? I was like, pants, like a pair of socks and a snack. Like, what do I need for the show? So it's just, I'm not a naturally detail oriented person, but I had gotten in such a rhythm of like what I needed for shows. It was a well-oiled machine, and the machine is no longer well-oiled. It is very rusty. So I got to get back into my rhythm and routine and everything. So
I'll just take your whole closet. That way you have everything you need, and pick from that. So
absolutely. Yeah. I'll just, for my 3-day weekend performing, I'll have like 5 bags.
Yeah. There you go.
Now I just finished, which I think I mentioned this to, who did we talk to last week? A comedian. I think I mentioned this to them. But I just watched Brian Regan's Netflix, and he had talked about his special. I think it was at Red Rocks or something. It's pretty good.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I think he's a very funny man. But he had like everybody else, he was at home for a long period of time, which caused him to write some really amazing stuff. When he started out, I think like the first 20 or 30 minutes was bam, bam, bam. It was just hysterical. But he talked a lot about his time at home, socially isolated and not traveling. Have you put any of that in your routine, or are you just going to bypass that and just move along?
So, so last year presented this really unique opportunity where I had like 340 days off to completely write a new set.
Wow.
But I decided to watch YouTube instead. So I did not make the most of that time. So a lot of my set is the same. So we will acknowledge COVID. And I do have a parody mashup in there about COVID. And I do have some new stuff, but there will be a mix of the same stuff and the new stuff. And the other thing that is hard is I haven't tried out any of my new stuff at all to see if it works. So I am hesitant to do all new stuff, because if it bombs completely, I'm like, well, I'm going to leave out the back. So I'm going to mix it up. And then hopefully the new stuff will be as funny as it was when I wrote it 3 weeks ago.
Do you have any reviews of the YouTube videos that you watched over the last 360 days? Or?
So I went on this spiral. It's the weirdest spiral, because I enjoy hiking, but I'm not a hiker, and no part of me wants to like go climb any of these major mountains. But I went on this binge watching spree where I watched all these documentaries about people who climbed Mount Everest and other like 25,000 plus mountains. And I just fascinated by the people who thought that would be fun and wanted to do that. So it was like this mind exercise. So that's what I watched. So many Mount Everest K2 videos. It's like the second highest. They're thinking it might actually be higher than Everest now. Like Everest has shifted, and I guess so. It may not always be the tallest mountain. See, that's a fraction of the rabbit hole I have gone down, that I know that.
It's educational though. We're learning new things now. So
it is. Yeah. So I don't, but I did watch a lot of that. I watched a lot of jiu-jitsu videos, and then forgot all the knowledge when I would actually go to class. Except for how to choke people out. Never how to choke people out, which was a pure accident. I don't even know if I could repeat what I did and make that happen again. What else did I watch? Travel videos, since I couldn't travel. I watched a lot of food vlogs. Yeah. Which watching people eat when you can't have the food is torture, and I did it anyway.
I gotcha.
Kristin Weber, KristinWeberOnline.com, and she is on tour with Aspire. She's going to Wisconsin, North Dakota, South Dakota, North Carolina, California. Sparks, Nevada. Have you been there before? What's in Sparks?
Wait, am I going to Sparks?
Yep, says Sparks.
Okay, cool. I'll take your word for it. That's probably in a couple weeks, which is really far away. So,
yeah, it's in. I think it's in end of May, early June, or something like that.
Sure, sounds right. You're starting to see the problem with why I might be a terrible youth director. Tomorrow, I'm like, I guess,
kids,
sure,
yeah. Kids are here. I don't know. They're somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. Show up, and if people are there, stay. If not, leave. Yes. So, what was the question?
I don't remember now.
I don't need her. Yes, I think I'm going to all those places. And then I think after May, I don't think I have anything else on the calendar until August or something. But I've gotten used to being at home now. So I'm weirdly become a homebody. Maybe it's Stockholm syndrome from just being forced to stay home. So we'll see if I can get back into the swing of travel, but I was like, I don't want to sleep in a bed that's not mine. Got my burrito blanket and my
hey, if you have
since I was 7.
If you live in one of these places or you know somebody, tell them to go see Kristin Weber online.com.
Yeah.
She's very hysterical. We love hanging with her, and look forward to talking to you. I guess we'll pick up with you in the summer, since all you're going to be doing is just plain youth ministry and
watching YouTube videos.
That's not going to be videos.
I'm going to do a jiu-jitsu tournament in May. That's pretty big.
Awesome.
I don't know yet if I'm gonna freeze completely. So like the two options are, I'm like, something that I don't know is inside me is gonna like surface and I'm gonna become like an animal, or I'm just gonna totally freeze and like turtle up, and then like they'll just win because I'm gonna not know what to do. So I'm excited. That's the furthest out of my comfort zone I think I'll have ever been. So that's the other thing that's coming up. You can ask me about, because I'm like, I honestly don't know what I'm gonna do.
I'm going with the Karate Kid option. You're just going to go and kick butt and
yeah,
you're going to win everything, choke everybody out.
There you go. You will not choke during this tournament.
I hope not. I will.
Weber online, KristinWeberOnline.com. Check her out. And hey, we got to go. We got to take a break. Yeah, let's pick up with you in the summer. We'll ask you about that and a bunch of other stuff. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.